Pleasant good morning to one and all. Welcome to Monday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption Incompetence. Today is Monday, the 16th day of June 2025. Welcome one and all. Welcome, and as you come on, we will tell you share the life. Share the life. We're going to be here with you and tell you all the things that you need to know about what has transpired over the weekend and even further back. We are going to bring you up to date with incredible, valuable information. So share the live. Let them know that we're on. Welcome for this Monday. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. You're looking forward to a productive week. Hope the fathers had a wonderful Father's Day. And hope you are, well, they say every day should be Father's Day, just as how every day should be Mother's Day. So welcome, one and all. Share the live. Today, Monday, the 16th of June, 2025. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we must always give praise, always give thanks. Sometimes the gremlins come to work. And this morning, they were busy. I got kicked out of the studio. Well, I shouldn't say get kicked out. It was inadvertence. I pressed the wrong button, thrown out of the studio. When I came back in, an old set of students who came on first were no longer in the comments. And then a little while ago, again, something happened out the studio when I came back in. The first 162 comments were removed. The first 162 students are no longer seen in the comments there. So apologies. Again, I told you all over and over, some things you have no control over. You have no control over certain things on the platform. That is how it functions. So share the live. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is already here in the studio, waiting and ready and waiting for us to bring you the credible, valuable information. We're going to truncate the roll call business this morning because of the fact that the first 162. So you could understand the numbers. We have hundreds waiting in the schoolyard. Waiting hundreds. First 162 get knocked out. But I had a note of those who came in first at 7 o'clock when the program was scheduled. So I'm going to tell you who those persons are, even though you can't put the name up. We're going to tell you who those persons are, and then we are going to move on to tell you so many things that we have to tell you this morning. Those of you who look at the notice, when it is posted, would have seen some of the issues highlighted in the notice, and we are going to bring those things to you as we move into the program. So again, share the live. And I said, great day, another day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice. Let's be glad in it. Many students would say, good to be in the land of the living. Yeah, it is good to be in the land of the living. It's not by accident. It's by the design of the Maker that we're here. Remember when the time comes for you to go, you have to go. If the time is not right for you to go, you will not go. Just recall a couple of days ago that Air India plane crashed. 242 persons aboard. Every time I look at that video, I'm amazed that one man made it out alive. And I see all sorts of rumors and so on about the man who made it out alive. Facebook is full of false things. You got to try to read through those things. Only Facebook, social media. One man walked out of that plane. It definitely was not his time. It was not his time. And if it's not your time to go, you will not go. That is by God's design. We don't know what tomorrow holds. They say, man appoints, God disappoints. And I want to repeat that to these people who sit down there and they're planning all sort of thing. Planning how to victimize people and all of that. Man appoints and God disappoints. That's something you all should remember. Of course, we know that many of these people don't believe in God. They are atheists. They don't believe that He's a supreme being. So you can't convince them. Sometimes I understand that sometimes when they're seeing the Maker calling them, then there's hello God and there's ball out, and they just remember that there is a God. But there is a God. There is a God. And you got to put things in His hands and He will take care. That doesn't mean to say you're not going to do your part, because remember He says you're going to help those who help themselves. So it's not just show back, rock back Charlie, and decide you're not going to do anything. Yes, you have to do things to help yourself. So welcome again this morning. And as I said, we have to truncate the roll call because of issues, technical issues. And then we're going to go straight. Now, some people like that because some people are not comfortable with the roll call. Not that they don't want their names called, but people believe it take up a lot of time. So we're going to go straight into the to tell you this morning that the first set of people, I'm going to, the 7 o'clock people, the people who are lined up at the gate to get in. They started with Rain from the UK. Then it was the Conor Rook man. Lucius was here very early. Puran from Essequibo Coast. Winston Kilkenny. Ezzy. Ulrich, West Dem man, was here very early at 7 o'clock in the schoolyard. Felicia, Siobhan, Peter, Leon, Tessa was here early. Jacko was here early as well. Kenneth, Wayne, and this is Wayne Kesnew. Sean was here as usual. Sean is always early. Then we had Claire, George Calder, the countryman, was here very early as well. Lennox Anderson, Roxanne Lucky, Paulette Art, Carl Johnson, Keith Allen from Barbados, Carlton Lewis, my squad mate. Then we had who else? Earl Abrams, John Cummins, Pastor Smith, and many others. They were here at 7 or shortly thereafter, but they're no longer featuring on the comment because of this little glitch, and they have been struck out, the first 162. In other words, if you came on between 7 and I think it's 8:55, let me check the exact time. If you came on between 7 and 8:55, you're no longer listed there in the comment. Right? So that's it in terms of the roll call for this day. And then we get the announcements. Let me tell you quickly about the announcements that we got to make. Well, first of all, let me give you a nice one, man. Well, we normally start with the sad ones. So let me start. We don't want to mix it up. Again, deadly weekend, you know. Deadly weekend with deaths in Guyana. Road deaths, drowning incident. Last night it was reported that 2 motorcyclists, I want you all to listen to this carefully, 2 motorcyclists, this is in Region 6, East Berbice, riding in opposite directions in front of the New Amsterdam Hospital. One going south, one going north, crashed into each other with such speed that both of them, I understand, died on the spot. 2 cyclists going in opposite direction, crashed into each other and died on the spot, right? Then it's very sad. Let me pull up. I'm trying to get the details of it here. Detail. Yes, they say tragedy in New Amsterdam. 2 cyclists killed in devastating motorcycle collision. 2 persons have been confirmed dead, following a horrific motorcycle accident that occurred earlier tonight. This last night, near the New Amsterdam Regional Hospital. According to the initial reports, the victims are riding separate motorcycles, one heading north to the other south. When they reportedly lost control and collided head-on, the impact was severe, resulting in the immediate death of both riders. That is what is being reported there. Yeah? That is what is being reported. Really sad. And I'm sure when you hear 2 motorcyclists, young people, then, you know, they are not, I haven't seen the report yet from the police. I suspect they're going to issue a report. This thing happened over 8:30 last night. I guess they are not that, they're not up to speed with that one as yet. But I was sent pictures since last night and I was told of that. So sad. And this is a regular occurrence. Only a few days ago, we told the biker who died at Albion. Yeah, Albion died. Then Region 6 again. Then not so long ago, we told about the body they found. They reported a man, 72-year-old man, I believe it's a non-accident. Right? That is what is going on. I know the disturbing thing about these accidents, if you look in recent times, a lot of motorcyclists have been killed. A lot of motorcyclists. And I have said repeatedly, don't just investigate the cause of the accident. Yeah, that is important. But also investigate deeper how they acquired their driver's license, if they had driver's license at all. If they were wearing safety helmet, that is part of the problem. Because from the picture that I saw, neither of the two riders was wearing a motorcycle safety helmet. So yes, investigate the cause, because they're gonna say it's an open and shut case. Two motorcyclists traveling in opposite direction collided, both of them dead. Open and shut. File goes to the DPP, matter closed, right? But you got to dig deeper. When, if at all, they add a license, how did they acquire the license? Obviously, they're reckless to be riding at such speed and both of them dying on the spot. You could imagine what is going on there. Investigate deeper how these people are acquiring, not only the motorcyclists, I said before too, when you have accident involving other categories of vehicles on the road. Investigate how they get the license. And a picture might be revealed in that process. You might discover that Jackie Opel was part of the process. Investigate this thing properly. And then we had at Linden yesterday, it has been reported that a 21-year-old man, yesterday, Father's Day, 21-year-old man died. Went with his colleagues here to swim, thinking the Demerara River. It says that a Father's Day outing in Linden among a group of friends turned tragic on Sunday when a 21-year-old Bobishan, Nizam Muhammad, drowned. So the incident took place in the Demerara River in Kumaka, on the outskirts of Linden. According to eyewitnesses, the young man and his group of friends arrived at the beach and were seen hanging out in a celebratory mood. However, less than 30 minutes after the arrival, other persons at the beach noticed the group giving distress signal. Several persons rushed over and were told that the 21-year-old man had encountered some difficulties while in the water and had vanished. An alarm was raised and the police were contacted, as a group of young men could be seen crying and explaining that Nizam Muhammad had drowned. They said it all happened so very fast, and an attempt by the onlooker to render assistance failed. The man's body is still to be recovered. So sad, 21-year-old drowned. And it's so frequently too on the Linden Suzaik Highway, all over the place, you're getting people drowned. And you know what is interesting to note here? The people say that the man encountered difficulties, right? They notice the distress signal, and others run. Not so in Adriana Young's case. According to them, she drowned in the pool. There was no distress signal by her or anybody else, but she drowned. And they say the body, they said that the body was not, they weren't assistant. The man's body is still to be recovered. Let me see how long it's going to take to recover. Because in the case of Adriana Young, it defied science in that within about 20 hours after it floated without bloating. Let's see what is going to happen in this case. So again, sad, these deaths, road accidents, right? Road accidents. Man died, drowned in. And this is not the only drowning case in recent times, I think about a week or so, a little longer than that, reported two preteens died on the Linden Suzaik Highway at some one of those resorts or some one of those places that people will go and swim. Dangerous, danger from all angle. And that is what we have. So condolences to the relatives. Let me see. I don't think I have any other death to report. And of course, we told you about the unreported. I don't think it has been reported up to now. The fatal accident along the Parfait Harmony Road, where the police vehicle was chasing a car. They said the man involved in some crime or offense, and they were chasing him, and he crashed into somebody standing alongside the road. The man died on the spot. Then reporting that. They are not reporting that. That is to be kept. Well, I have not seen it. Let me say that. They might have reported. I have not seen the report. I was looking for it. I have not seen it. But that is what is going on in the country. Lawlessness at all angles. Lawlessness. We're going to tell you about some more as we go on this morning with the program. Then what else is there? Let me go to today anniversary of Sergeant Vaughan. Today is 458 days since Sergeant Alex Vaughan was killed. Police Sergeant Alex Vaughan was killed. They told us initially it was by friendly fire. Someone, colleague, they said they claim it was an accident. And then the postmortem said 3 bullet wounds. And I made the point on which I maintain that unless it was an automatic firearm, can't get three bullet wounds. Unless it was an automatic. And I don't think up to now they've stated what firearm was used. Because remember I explained the thing, I know about guns, I used to be a firearm instructor. Somebody come to guns, I know I used to teach people how to use firearms, not only use it, the mechanics, but how to shoot it properly as well. A skill that I mastered. So I know what I'm talking about. And I said again that if Vaughn's body had 3 bullets, as the postmortem showed, then unless it was an automatic firearm that he had, could not have been an accident. If it's a semi-automatic or even a revolver or anything like that, that trigger had to be pressed and released at 3 occasions, at least 3 occasions. Can't be no accident. And they haven't told us, but today is 458 days since. 458 days since. Now let me go into the more pleasant announcement before bringing CC. We have something more to talk about. Birth anniversaries. Today is the birth anniversary of a very good friend of mine. Even though I'm not able to see or heard from him in a little while, I'm referring to retired Assistant Commissioner James Austin. Today is James' birth anniversary. 7100. I remember the number very well. As a young police, 1973 at Sparnam, James, I think, was a constable in the traffic department. He spent most of his time in traffic. Fantastic gentleman. Fantastic. We became very, very close friends, especially when we were on the junior officer course number 5 together. Austin, Slow, Wills, Tapin, and all of these guys. We were there together in 1980. I think it was junior officers course number 5. So James is celebrating his birthday today. Also celebrating today are some of our students. The believer forget, I don't forget these things. Jacko! Happy birthday, Jacko. He and Jackman, former member and an ardent student. He's on the live. I saw him on the live earlier. Is celebrating today. So maybe keeping it quiet because you don't want to buy drinks, but I'll bust in your bag. Today, Jacko is celebrating his birthday. Also celebrating today, another student, man who wore uniform in the reserve and so on, Colin Bino, former headmaster and all that. Colin is celebrating today as well. Also celebrating today, another student who's on the live, former member too, Elroy Nelson. Nello used to be at the transport workshop, the countryman from BV. He is celebrating today as well. And then the one that we have here too, I guess you're going to be surprised. I haven't seen the man for the past week or so, but I'm sure you got to listen, he and his wife. The original black man. The original black man is observing a natal day today as well. And then we told you about those who were, when we spoke on Friday, there were some that were to observe on Sunday. Let me give them belated birthday greetings. Former member Patrice Henry, attorney at law, celebrated yesterday. And then we have Gavin Marshall, another former member, Glendon Lashley, another former member. They all celebrated recently. So I want to take this opportunity to wish all those who are celebrating today, James, Jacko, Colin, Elroy, and all of them, happy birthday. And to those who celebrated recently, same greetings are going out to you. So I hope those who celebrated yesterday had a wonderful, it was a double Father's Day. And before I bring in Mr. Conway too, I want to say, I hope that all the fathers had a wonderful Father's Day yesterday. Not only that you were able to get this big piece of chicken that Chris Rock said, when you have Mother's Day, mothers are pampered. When you come to Father's Day, fathers get a big chicken leg. Well, I could tell you I did not get a big piece of chicken leg. I was pampered. And somebody asked me, somebody said, say you're cooking for Mother's Day, you're cooking for Father's Day. No. I cooked for Mother's Day, and on Father's Day, I was pampered yesterday. So let me bring in CC, and then we're going to move on with a little bit more announcements at the end. CC, welcome. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, a wonderful Father's Day, and that you're looking forward to productive week.
Good morning. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. Yes, I had a wonderful Father's Day. Children, grandchildren, and I touch base with a lot of friends. Now, let me make some brief comments, particularly Borby's English. I don't know if they're analyzing the stats, but quite a number of motorcyclists died for this year in Borby's. Quite a number, included one, and I gotta look at that that New Amsterdam hospital area. That's the same area where the former deputy commander Borby's Stanley was involved in a fatal accident with a motorcyclist, and then the last one we had the Bush Bottoming region, number 8. And congratulations to Colin and James Austin on their boards and birthday that they celebrated. And we gotta look at Western Mara, Western Mara, especially for Faith Harmony. Too many things happening there. And then I want to believe, that the commander there, he got to change from the mode he's in. Remember, he spent quite a number of years or most of his time at the police special branch where he was sworn to secrecy. Perhaps he has taken over that mode over to Western Moraro. He got to come forward now and let people know what's going on. He's no longer in the special branch. He's no longer the special. If you want people to assist him, if you want people to have confidence in him, you must come forward and reporting. Let the people know what is going on. Now, I want to shout out to retired Inspector Smith, who lives in Lamar Park. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the contribution you've been giving towards this program. And then on Saturday, after I pick up my grandson from swimming, when I pick him up afterwards, his grandfather got to spend some money. So we end up at churches. And there I met a policeman. I won't call his rank, I won't call where his station because I don't want to give him trouble. And he was there with his 2 children, including a 10-year-old. He says he's a single parent. And she looked at me and she said, Daddy, this is the man you was watching on television. This is the same man. And he told me some things. We had some discussion, that you're very, very interested. He said over a decade ago, he was on training at the police training school and the Felix Austin Police College. And I lectured to them. And not only that, the course they were on, I killed the course. Over the weekend, I killed the course that they all had to write their eulogy. He said he was a bit skeptical, but he wrote it. And he said he always remembered the term that I use, SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And you remember that we discussed that if you write it down, if you focus on it, you could very well achieve it. Whatever the mind conceive, you can achieve. And he mentioned in the time he was carefree, and then after then he went to university, and many things that he wrote in his eulogy he has achieved. Some he didn't, but he said he has achieved quite a number of them. And then he talked about behavior. He said, remember we discussed about behavior whilst I was in the course. And we talk about it. He said behavior is a major phenomenon that the police got to deal with now. What's going on now is the behavior that we spoke over a decade ago and the same thing coming back. And he said the police got to deal with the behavior of the criminals, the behavior of his peers, of his subordinates, of his superiors, of the criminals, of his own family, and also his own behavior. And behavior is critical. And then I touch base Father's Day with my man George Griffith. For over 20 years, we had employed him on a part-time basis teaching English and mathematics to a recruit. He did an excellent job. And not only English and maths, he used to talk about, tell him about facts and life, about life and living, kind of things that cause them to be motivated to be better individuals. But he had a little square because we had another Griffith there who was doing some unprofessional work there. And when people hear that is Griffith, they used to say it's George Griffith. But not George Griffith. George Griffith was straight. I think he's still a straight up man, and he's been doing he did some excellent work for the police. George, I wish to thank you, and I want to wish you well, and thanks for the connection that we had on Father's Day.
There's one birthday that I missed out. Is Osman Ward, man, Osman Wardy. traffic man with me at New Amsterdam there and so on. Osman is celebrating his natal day today, so I want to add him to those who we have greeted. I want to add Osman to those who have greeted. And I say, Eustace is saying that Henry's number was 7032. This is the next Henry, Eustace. I know the Henry that you're talking about, 7032. He was one of the first men in the force to go and do law. He was at CID headquarters. I remember him very well, right? I think he lives in Canada now. But this is Patrice Henry. This is not this Henry. This is the next Henry, younger guy who is doing a fantastic job in Guyana. So it's a different person we're talking about, Eustace. Now, in terms of moving on, cricket. We talk about cricket Friday we were here, and going into the fourth day, South Africa needed 69 runs with 8 wickets in hand, and some people were biting their fingers and so on. Well, South Africa are the World Test Cricket champions. They defeated the mighty Australia by 5 wickets. The lowly South Africa. Let me be honest, right? I did not even give them a chance when they reached the final, and then afterwards, Australia reached the final. He said, "Lad, this is gonna be a one-sided affair." But the shot man, Themba Bavuma, led that team excellently, and they did. Rabada in the bowling department, Markram in the bat. Oh man, it was a fantastic thing to see. Fantastic. So South Africa are the World Test champions. That is the third. I think it came first in 2021, and New Zealand won. Then in 2023, Australia won, and now 2025, South Africa, the first major ICC trophy they won. They earned the name as chokers. They're reaching to all them quarterfinals and semifinals, and then they're finding a way to lose. They're losing. Even when they're in strong position, who can forget the last T20 World Cup finals in Barbados when they had India on the ropes, and then Klaassen got out, and then it was problems thereafter. So let me congratulate South Africa on their achievement in winning the World Test Cricket Championship. Wonder when West Indies can get there. Wonder when West Indies are going to be able to win the next ICC trophy. Let's wait and see. When it was 2016, when they won the women's trophy, they won the 19th trophy, and then the T20 World Cup. That was a fantastic year. Since then, I know happening. Puran at 29 retired from international cricket. They got their own problems. Right? Right. Marvin, good to know that you have my good friend there listening with you, man. Marvin is saying that he has 7772 Summersall, Garth, listening there with him. Welcome, Garth. Welcome. You're going to be entertained. You're going to be educated by this program, and I hope that this is not the first time this will not be the last time you're listening. Now, moving on, let me say I want to congratulate to woman Colonel Lorraine Foster of the Ghanaian Defense Force. I was so pleased when I read, I think it was yesterday, that this woman, Army officer, she's a colonel, a full colonel, right? She recently successfully completed a Master's of Science degree in National Resource Strategy, along with a diploma from the U.S. Joint Professional Military Education at the Eisenhower School of the National Defense University in Washington, D.C. Congratulations, Colonel. Congratulations. I love to see when people excel, especially women in uniform excel. So the National Defense University, she has a master's degree in National Resource Strategy. I hope that there is scope for her in Guyana to give back. I hope there is scope for her. Talking about the National Defense University, it dawned on me that I don't hear people going to CHADS any longer. The Center for Hemispheric Defense Studies, that is a program by the National Defense University of the U.S., where politicians and uniform officers were sent. Some in D.C. I remember when I attended They had experimented and they brought it to the Caribbean in Jamaica. And if some politicians and military people, soldiers, policemen, people in civilian positions were sent on that. That was a fantastic course. Yeah, I'm a graduate of that program. My squaddies included Frankie Bishpon, Basil Williams, the attorney. He was there with us. Brigadier Lovell. Yeah, we were all there together. But for some reason now, I don't know why, if the program has been discontinued, but I can't recall the last time any such course was held. And I know because one of the things, once you've been there, they update you with all the events and so on. So you get constant email, birthday greetings, and all of these things from that university. And then moving on, we spoke about on Friday this air war. This is a war. Israel attacked Iran, claiming that they were developing nuclear weapons, and Iran has retaliated. So from Friday, I think, or Thursday night to now, is a lot of bombing and things taking place. Iran is reporting, I think, 200 and something dead. Israel is reporting 20 something dead. It's sad. Sad. Another war has broken out, and people are going to suffer. And as I said on Friday, we have a look, maybe rising gas prices and all these things. Because any such conflict in the Middle East, which is the largest area producing oil and all of these things, you're going to affect the whole world. So we can't just sit back and say, well, it's them by story, we ain't getting involved. All of us are going to be affected some way or the other. This morning, listening to Al Jazeera, the issues now is whether Iran will close the Straits of Hormuz. Because if they close the Strait of Hormuz, that's a big story there, because they said 20% of the world's supplies come through that strait. And if you have problem there, is everything gonna back up. Somebody analyzed this morning that if that were to happen, then rather than ships, container ships and things coming through the straits, they'll have to go around some other route, which will delay shipment by about 2 to 3 months. So it's so, you got to follow these things. We got to follow. Let me hope that they come to some resolution soon, because today is the beginning of the G7 conference in Canada, where the 7 biggest countries in terms of economy are going to meet. And they said this issue is going to be top on the agenda. Let's hope that good sense prevail and that thing ends. It's really, really sad when lives, children, women, and innocent people are dying because of these conflicts and wars and all of that, right? The devastation when you see old buildings destroyed and so on. Really, really sad. Really, really sad. So yeah, I would normally look at these things, I would normally look at these things. And before I bring Mr. Conway back again, one student reached out to me this morning and he asked a question. So I did not respond to him directly because I wanted all the students to benefit from the answer. Basically, what he was asking, he wanted to know, because if a licensing and certified officer stops you on the road, in Guyana I'm talking about, and he asks for your driver's license, whether you should not be given time to produce your driver's license. I told, well, I didn't think I answered. The answer is no. You have to have your driver's license with you all the time. Let me understand this thing clearly. You're given time to produce the insurance. I think it's 5 days. But the driver's license, your driver's license, you need to have it with you if you are driving. And if a policeman, and not only traffic rank or licensed and certified officer, any policeman in uniform stops you and asks to see your driver's license, you have a legal obligation to show him. Not only show, to give it for him to examine. Let me understand this thing clearly. Right? We know what goes on, that when you give them the license, they take it and they carry it away. That is wrong. Should not be taken away from you. But the policeman should be able to examine your driver's license, confirm that it is you, and then give it back to you. So even if for some reason he has to write your ticket or something, then he writes the ticket. Right? So let me understand this thing clearly. To the student, I don't know if the student is on here now, but he sent a message, I think by messenger or something, and I thought I'll respond to it all. Again, I say, if you are driving a motor vehicle in Guyana, you're riding a motorcycle, right? You are required to have your driver's license with you at that time. I recall when I was a traffic chief, those of you on here who know me when I was traffic chief, I used to, as they say, hot up the city and elsewhere. One of the problems at the time was a lot of vehicles driving, we call one light or no light at all. So during the hours of darkness, people were driving no light. And we started exercises or operations, I should say, to deal with those people. And what was what I used to do? I used to go out myself as a traffic chief, along with ranks of monk operations. A lot of people can come and tell you, oh, the light just went off. It can be true. You started to drive, everything was okay during the course of the day, and then suddenly a light blow, right? Sometimes it's a shortage. The system shorts out, and if you tap it a little bit, it come on. So I know they used to come and tell you, oh, chief, this thing, I the light just went off. Maybe some short, they're calling a tap, pop, 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 and it then come off. You should give them some time, get it fixed. And if you get it fixed, then we can allow you to go. So on this occasion, I had just been appointed traffic chief. And I lived on the East Coast at the time. So no, I wasn't on the East Coast at the time, but I knew I was from the East Coast because this was in the late 90s. I had not moved back to BV then. A very senior man, a judge at the time, who became very senior in the legal arrangement there. Driving, going east, I was in front BV police station with some ranks, checking on vehicle with a light and so on. And all of a sudden, this vehicle dashed out and came at what I considered to be a little dangerous speed. So I pulled the vehicle in, right? The face looked familiar, but I did not honestly recognize, I couldn't put a name to the thing. So I rebuked him for driving in the manner he did, because I accused him of driving carelessly, and he wanted to debate. So I said, well, this is not a question of debate. If I'm accusing you of driving carelessly or dangerously, this debate got to take place in court, right? At which stage, no, I asked him then, I said, can I see your driver's license, please, sir? Very polite. And I had my name tag, I never forget, properly dressed. He reached into the glove compartment. He had a passenger there with him. He reached into the glove compartment and he tumbled a little, and then he said he believed the driver's license was left in the other vehicle. I said, what? I said, I need to see your driver's license. Don't tell me no other vehicle. He looked at my chest, he saw my name, and then he adjusted my name. He said, Mr. Slow, I am so. And at this stage, when he said it, I was able to make the link between the face and the person. And I gave him a royal buck up, as we can say. I bucked him up. So you imagine you are who you are, and you're questioning, because you wanted the question he should not have, he should get. I said, no, don't come to me, you know better. And he admitted that he knew better, but he tried to bluff me. He tried to bluff me. I ain't take the bluff, right? I ain't take the bluff. And, we became very good friends, because I was in Avenue Republic sometime after, and he passed and he stopped me. He said, I want to see you urgently and let's come. And I went, and we established a very good relationship. I'm saying all that to say to you that you need to have your driver's license with you at all time. Umi, let me deal with it. You get somebody here trolling me and then doing that other thing here. Somebody, hold on, let me deal with it right away. I think I dealt with it. Yeah, thanks, Umi. Yeah, so you got to let me understand this thing clearly. I'm saying that you have to produce it if you're asked to produce it. The policeman can be allowed to take it and examine it. He's not allowed to take it away and then tell you drive to the station. That is where the problem comes. Because people now are reluctant to give the driver's license to policemen, because they know they're going to hold on to it until there's been a lot of conflict over the same thing, man. They give back my license. Policemen are not allowed to take your license and carry it away under normal circumstances. There are circumstances where that might be justified. I'm not going to go into that here this morning. But let me understand that very, very clearly. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for him to comment on what you have just said. CC, your take.
Yeah, the war with Israel and Iran, it's devastating. And I hope that, somewhere along the line, better judgment will prevail. I hope the G7 countries would find some way out. And then again, too, I think Guyana got the chairmanship of the United Nations Security Council. So I don't know what clout or chairman or chairwoman has there, But I think there's the need for some kind of something to be done to prevent it from escalating, because we all of us will be affected. The whole world will be affected. Will be affected. So let's pray and let's hope that better judgment will prevail, and there's a being ease and tension and other activities that is presently going on there.
Yeah, yeah. The person who asked the question, apparently that person is on the live, because I just get a note from that person thanking me for the explanation. So y'all gotta know, we try to educate people on this program so that you know what should be the position. Policemen too, we educate all. We educate everyone, politicians, everybody. This is open university, it's not goal. Right? This is open university where we come and we bring you facts. And as we have said repeatedly, you can always go and check for yourself. Now, see, I got two questions, man. Some people asking me some incident where some senior police officer is alleged to have taken some big set of money from some Chinese people recently. Recent, like over a few days or so. I hear nothing about that. And then I understand another allegation that the same senior police officer, right, shoot at some woman. Here, this allegation, serious allegation, that a senior police officer allegedly shot at a woman whom he saw with another man. So it would appear, I ain't gonna call no name, because they're gonna sue me again. They're gonna sue me again. Right? So I ain't calling no name, but people have been saying to me that there's something they're covering down. Some story, you see this woman, maybe he and the woman had a relationship, and the man bust shot either in the ear or a cheek. I'm not sure. But, these things are the way they're going to come up, they're going to reveal. They are going to be revealed. Even though they try to cover and cover, it is going to be revealed, because I am going to be doing my investigation to find out who is this senior, very senior police officer who is alleged to have taken money, big set of money from some Chinese people. And then the same man, boss, I think that this would have been the claiming Wednesday or Thursday night. Recently, within the week, shoot at some woman. This thing where you call blow, you call horn, you call whatever, you call bun, whatever you want to call them. So it's not an easy thing, Some can't take the licks, take your licks. Take your licks. Daco Cummins, 5789 Cummins, said, take your licks like Creole licks. Creole licks is a lot of licks, Take your licks, right? Take your licks. CC, I know you just hear these things, but I heard somebody ask me about this thing. About you hear anything about that?
I heard, but I'm not at liberty to call the name. I heard about the 50 million
50,
from
oh yeah, 50, big money.
50 million from the Chinese, and also heard that the man, the shot is sweet woman, as you say, sweet woman. But perhaps, before long, Big Smith might give us some information on it. I'm sure Big Smith might come into
That might just get his on the ground. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna you're gonna hear something soon, man. We gotta hear something.
yeah,
We can't
yeah,
keep it
we
down.
will. Yeah,
We can't keep it down. Now let me
yeah.
move on. Let me move on. Now the issue that I want to talk about now is this baby Skello. This guy is not a real place. And I see a lot of comments about the baby Skello incident. In case you all forget, baby Skello is this man who I can't say sing, because I listen to this thing. The man mumbled some what I consider very disrespectful, can't even call them lyrics, to the Hindu goddess, Mother Lakshmi. See all sort of disrespectful thing. We don't charge him last week for blasphemous libel. I didn't even know that such an offense had existed, because the little reading I did said that it is an old English thing where you couldn't say anything about the about Christians, and even them, over the years, they have repealed that act because they believe, that law, because they believe it's in this modern time, we talk about freedom of speech guaranteed by the Constitution and all of that. That should not be, right? That should not be. So, Baby Scalo charged, Baby Scalo went to court, and the magistrate remanded him to prison. He was remanded to prison for blasphemous libel. On Friday, I made the point to show how unfair and unjust and unequal the system is, because Vybz Kartel has a song, right? Good Like Jesus. That's the name of the song. And if you hear the lyrics, describing a woman's private parts, how they go on private parts, sweet like Jesus and all them type of thing. And Vybz Kartel was a guest of the president of Guyana a little while ago, and nothing had happened. I think the ARC did write him about the lyrics about something, but he wasn't all before the court. The man was a guest of the president, right? Similarly offensive, I would think, to Christians, but nothing had happened to Vybz Kartel. As a matter of fact, he came back after that, another big show, sponsored by some of the same people, right? But Baby Scalo ended up not only being charged, and according to the Starbrook News editorial this morning, let me see, I'll pull up a part. It's not only that he was charged, but the man was remanded to prison. Not only he was charged, and here what the part of the editorial said this morning. DJ Scalo, according to DJ Scalo work was shoddy and irrelevant, but hardly requiring the charge that was brought against him. It was akin to gilding the lily. The kicker, however, was Magistrate Latchman's decision to remand him. That decision would suggest that if he retained his freedom, DJ Scalo would have been a threat and an ongoing one to public order. There is no evidence of that. Presumably, his counsel will seek to apply to the court for his release. Bail should never be used as a weapon. That is what we were taught. Bail should never be used as a weapon. The fact that he's remanded, it means that the magistrate feels that if he's released at his own bail, at least that is what the law would suggest, that he's going to interfere with witnesses, he will continue to commit the crime, he is a flight risk, he can get away, you understand? Those are some of the considerations in granting a person bail. And if a magistrate remands anyone who is charged to prison, those must have been some of the those ought to have been some of the factors. That releasing him on bail, he's likely to continue committing the offense, he's likely to tamper with witnesses, he's not likely to return to court. Those are some of the considerations. And the Bail Act says, Guyana Bail Act, they said that people should be sent on bail unless there are extreme circumstances. I don't know what the extreme circumstances in this case are, but Baby Scalo was remanded. And I noted with a great amount of pleasure over the weekend that the People's National Congress has retained some lawyer to move to the High Court this morning or sometime today with a view to Scalo getting bail. And let me make it plain, as I've said before, I don't agree with nothing. Because first of all, it's not no song. I can't refer to that as a song. The thing has no melody. The thing has no, it makes little or no sense to me. I guess they have now made it even more popular because I suspect the fact that Baby Scalo is charged for singing this thing, a lot of people will go and look to and listen to hear what really are the offending words, right? But that is what we have. And then, more than that, when this thing came to the attention, I think he made a public apology. And I understand that he sang or he said some words of regret apart from the apology. And I really want to know in this case too, who complained? Who complained? Who are the virtual or who is the virtual complainant in this matter? I don't know. Police will be the complainant because, as I explained to you all before, you get virtual complainant and complainant. The police will will be the name on the charge as complainant. In any event, another shocker to me when I read the thing, it was an indictable charge, I understand, the charge was instituted indictably, and then the Administration of Justice Act was applied. So when the charge was instituted, I don't know if it had to do with statute of limitation in the summary charge, but an indictable charge was instituted, and then application for Administration of Justice Act. So then it was reduced to a summary charge, and he was then made to plea. And further, before I bring in CC, what they're saying is that the maximum sentence is, I think, 1 year in prison. That is the maximum sentence, 1 year in prison, maybe some fine. And the man is remanded on that. And there are several matters, serious matters, including blasphemous matter, including matters relating to race and all this everything. You don't have the same standard applied. Let me bring in CC. CC, your take, my brother.
Well, as I said on the last episode, I don't know whether or not the magistrates they really following the Bail Act. And the Bail Act is very clear. Bail Act 2022. And for the sake of emphasis, I'm going to read it again. Under that, in circumstances in which a bail may be refused. Section 7(1). A court may refuse to release a defendant on bail where A. The court is satisfied that there is substantial grounds for believing that the defendant, if released on bail, is likely to fail to surrender to custody or to appear before a court as and when required. 2. Commit an offense while on bail other than offense punishable only by a fine. Or 3. Interfere with witnesses, tamper with evidence, or otherwise obstruct the course of justice in relation to the defendant or to any other person. B. The court is satisfied that the defendant should be kept in custody, 1, for the defendant's own protection, or 2, for the preservation of public order. C. The defendant having been released on bail has 1, committed an act referred to in para A, or breach any condition imposed on the defendant for the defendant's release. D. The defendant is charged or is likely to be charged with a serious offense. E. There is substantial ground for believing that the defendant has A. given false or misleading information regarding the defendant's name or address. Or 2. No fixed place for abode. F. The defendant case is adjourned for inquiries or report, and it appears to the court that it would be impracticable to complete the inquiries or make the report without keeping the defendant in custody. Or G. The court is satisfied that it has not been practicable to obtain sufficient information for the purpose of taking the decision required by this section, or for want of time since the institution of proceedings against him. I don't know if anyone in this covered the magistrate to say no bail. I look at it and I didn't find any. And then just so the police, when I was an investigator, when I was a subordinate officer in charge of station, when I was a subordinate officer, when I was a commander, here are the points I used to, when I was a prosecutor also, here are the points I used to consider before granting bail. Gravity, 1, gravity and nature of the offense. 2, weight of evidence. 3, status of the accused. 4, possibility of absconding. 5, will the granting of bail defeat the ends of justice? And I have to be guided by the Constitution, the laws of Guyana, and my conscience. Those are the what I used to look into in terms of granting bail. And I think it's a good guide for you, the prosecutor, for you, the station sergeant, for you, the investigator, for you, the commander, for you, the subordinate officer, to consider in terms of granting bail. But when I look at the law, when I look at the Bail Act, I think this is being abused in many cases, not only in this case, but in many cases, person appear, bail not granted. Remember the nurse, or I think she's an ex-nurse, I think there was in Aksha by now, when she made a statement, a private statement, and then the person released it, and the charger, and then she was refused bail. It's an abuse. is an abuse of the issue.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, yeah, some cases people got to be remanded, but the conditions for remanding a person or refusing bail are clear, are clear, and many times those conditions aren't met. But the magistrate got the power, so they say remand is remand. But let me see what will happen because when if the magistrate refuses bail, that is not the end of the matter. You can then go to the High Court, which I suspect or expect them to do sometime today for some judge to intervene and decide whether the person should remain on remand or whether it should be even given the pre-trial liberty. Let's see how that will go. But these things you have to monitor them because remember the poem. Let me see if I could remember the poem I tell you all about. Pastor Nehemiah, the German pastor, Martin Niemöller. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Very important for you to remember. So you got to speak out when you see these things, which I consider an injustice, which I consider an abuse of the process. You got to speak out. It's not that you are you're against the law. It's not that you're a criminal or you're lawless, but there's something called rule of law, which should be equally applied. It should be equally applied, and we don't have that in many cases. So we understand it clearly. We don't have that. Now moving on. We had this issue at Agricola last week, where a man was seen running down the street, pants dropping off, with an AR rifle, an assault rifle, and shooting up somebody. They claim that he shot at the house. The story is they say that some man killed his brother. The man running with the gun, his brother was killed by someone. And therefore he was going to this house, shoot up the house in an attempt to get at the man who killed his brother. This man running down the road with an AR-15 and firing rounds he charged. Let me read the 3 charges he got. First charge alleged that he named Kian Narayan. On Monday the 9th, that is last week Monday, of June 2025, at Agricola, discharged a loaded firearm at Gideon Bollers. He discharged a loaded firearm at Gideon Bollers with intent to disfigure or harm him. Some things boggle your mind. If you're going to discharge a loaded firearm, an AR-15 rifle, at someone, I can't understand how the intention was to disfigure or harm. You're discharging a loaded firearm at somebody, the intention is to kill. Let me understand this clearly. But that's what the police said they charge you with. They counted the release in Stabrook News on June 12th. The first charge again alleges that Kian Narayan on Monday the 9th of June 2025 at Agricola discharged a loaded firearm at Gideon Bollers with intent to disfigure or harm him. I said that is BS. You shoot any firearm, especially an assault rifle, at a person, you can't intend to disfigure or disarm. You intend to kill him. So I believe that a charge of attempt murder would have been appropriate. But I'm not going to explain that as we go along. We're going to explain that. I see Danny on this live. Ivan Daniels. And Danny are going to raise a matter that you and I sat down at the Brickdam canteen veranda there and discuss in great details. I hope you remember. Then you get the next charge. The second charge alleges that Kian Narayan on Monday the 9th of June 2025, Agricola, had in his possession 5.56 ammunition without being a licensed holder of the time. And then it also alleged that he had a AR-15 rifle without being a licensed holder for the thing. Now, let me go into some details, student. Take out your notebook. Policemen, take out your notebook. Some are going to say, but he didn't shoot nobody. Nobody was injured. How then you're talking about attempt murder charge. Some will make that argument that the man is injured because under normal circumstances, if a person is injured, and depending on the extent of the injury, and depending on what the medical certificate says that the injury was danger to life, the person survives, might get an attempt murder charge. But we have cases in Guyana, we're talking Guyana, elsewhere, I guess, where no injury, and the person is charged for attempt murder. The person is charged with attempt murder and no injury. Let me remind you of the first one. See, we just did the research, We did the research. I am saying, let me go back, that this man was shoot up at this man's place, or shoot at him, because this is what they're saying. This is what the police are alleging. That he discharged a loaded firearm at Gideon Bullers with intent to disfigure or harm him. And I'm saying that if you discharge a loaded firearm with someone, an AR-15 rifle in particular, because they did say two things, something like 18 spent shells were recovered, then you intended to kill him. You're lucky, but you intended, that was your intention. You shoot him, I'm going to kill this man. Maybe because of your lack of skill or whatever, the man lucky, the man ended. I remember a matter. Let me tell you all about this matter. I think it was back in 2005 at the Reedloops telling, right? A man, there was a sport there. If I remember well, it was Baby Sham. Get the record there. Baby Sham. At Jamaican dancehall artist had an activity at the Reedloops telling. It's a very popular one a period of time. Now, apparently the police wanted, something happened, the police wanted the music to stop. They went to the DJ and they told the DJ to stop the music. The organizer of the sport, it is alleged, Faisal Ali, then went up and he told the man, don't stop no music. Right? Don't stop the music. Policeman who went there, at the time, police, who was the constable, regulation number 18383, Alexi. He went onto the stage to get the DJ to stop the music in order to get control of the situation. That's some unlawful, unruly situation. The policeman, Alexi, I think he's still about, went to the DJ to tell the DJ to stop the music. According to what transpired, one Faisal Ali, the promoter of the show, instructed the DJ not to stop the music. Not to stop the music. Right? At this point, Sergeant Melroy Stevenson, I remember Stevenson, and Corporal Harper approached Alexi and invited him outside to talk. So two policemen, listen, follow carefully. Alexi went there, told the DJ to stop the music. Then the owner or the person who organized this is what is being alleged, tell the DJ not to stop. And then what happened? They're saying that at this point, Sergeant Melroy Stevenson and Corporal Harper approached Alexi and invited him outside to talk. Alexi then told Sergeant Stevenson, Corporal Harper, about the incident. Because there was an incident with a cadet officer, Simon. All of these people, I think some of them are still around, they can verify. And they went back inside to stop the music, leaving him outside. In the affidavit, this is some affidavit, Alexi, it is alleged that Faisal Ali then went up to Alexi and pointed a firearm at him saying, are your police gone dead? And squeezed the trigger about 3 to 4 times, but the gun did not fire. Stay with me, share the life, stay with me. This man here alleging, Faisal Ali, went up to the police, Alexi, and said, are your police gone dead? And then he squeezed the trigger about 3 to 4 times, but the gun did not fire. Alexi then ran away from Ali, drawing his own firearm in the process, but his right hand struck someone and the firearm fell out of his hand. Ali was subsequently relieved of his weapon by another policeman, Constable Kwesi Allen. The weapon was later found to be unlicensed, and Ali was taken to the Reedloops police station where he was detained. He was subsequently charged with the offense of attempted murder of Alexei. Let me read the back. Right? He was subsequently charged with the offense of attempted murder of Alexei and unlawful possession of firearm and ammunition. At the time he made no complaint against Alexei, the affidavit noted. Let me stop there and tell you what's going on. This man, Faisal Ali, is alleged to have pointed a firearm at the police rank, Alexei. They say he squeezed the trigger 3 to 4 times and the firearm did not go off. He was charged with attempted murder of the policeman. So again, to make the point that you're going to get injuries. And Danny, I see Danny commenting here. Yeah, Danny. Because we sat on the veranda, if you remember that Danny had breakdown, and we debated this thing because some parts were of the view, including me, that if there was no injury, maybe it's difficult to say attempt murder, right? But right, Danny, you're correct. That's what we're saying. That discharging a firearm is deemed using deadly force. Just merely discharging the firearm in the general direction of someone may be deemed as an attempt murder. That is what we're saying, Danny. Thank you very much. Because we had this discussion, if you recall, Danny, we had this discussion over drinks, of course. We were on the veranda. I remember that. And we had, as we used to have in those days, nice, deep, sensible discussions. I was a commander at the time at A Division. Danny was there, I think, as a superintendent. And we used to sit and we used to discuss these matters. Because even though I was a commander, people like Danny and these people who are very good detectives, you learn from them. You get involved in a discussion and you learn. Right? You learn because they were experienced people. And we are of the view, come to, well, it's a murder charge. So in that case, the man was charged with murder. Attempt murder of Alexei. Right? And well, of course, unlawful possession of firearm and all of that. That is what happened then. So again, I ask the question, how come this man, Selwyn, thanks to that. So how come this man who ran down the road with an AR-15 rifle and discharged, according to the police, this is what the police are saying, he discharged a firearm at Gideon Bullers with intent to disfigure or harm him. And he is charged with discharging a loaded firearm. But in the case of Faisal Ali, I just read out the details there. Faisal Ali was charged at that time for attempt murder. He fired a firearm, and this didn't go off, This one with this man fired in Agricola went off. They said about 18 shots fired. That's what the police are saying. About 18 shots fired, police said so, and the man charged us to discharge a loaded fire. Not even for causing public terror. Not even for causing public terror. And Sean wants to know how the code rule, how the code got rule. You have ever Jackie Opel? Because the upshot of this matter here now, let me read this part before I got a next example to give. I have another example to give. The upshot of this matter is that, as I said, at the time when this man Ali was arrested, he made no complaint. Sometime after, he go and he make allegation that he was assaulted by these 2 policemen. About 8 months later, the same Alexei who he attempted to murder, according to the charge, and Alin were jointly charged and appeared before Magistrate Fazil Aziz at Lenora, accused of assault causing actual body harm to Faisal Ali. You think it easy? Attempt murder of Alexei. And then that's 8 months after. At the time he made no complaint. So obviously, if he didn't make no complaint, I don't think he would have had any medical. But he ended up getting a charge. There is the 2 policemen, Alexei and Allen, were jointly charged and appeared before Magistrate Fazil Aziz at Lenora, accused of assault causing actually body harm to the said Faisal Ali. However, the 2 policemen were placed on self-bail, and the matter transferred to Vidnuk Magistrate Court for January 13, 2006 by Magistrate Fazil Aziz. Alexei was subsequently interdicted from duty on December the 22nd, 2005. Between, hear this. Between January 2009 and June 20, January and June 2009, Alexei attended the Vidnuk Magistrate Court on diverse occasions, but the trial of the said charge was adjourned on every occasion by Magistrate Aziz without any hearing. According to the affidavit, the magistrate proceeded to hear the charge against Faisal Ali and eventually freed him on 26th of June 2029. All of the charges were brought, he freed of all the charges that were brought against him. And meanwhile, the attorney said the charge against the policeman had been adjourned to July 20th at the Vidnuk Magistrate Court. So the man who is charged with the attempt murder, the matter got you when he get free. And the two policemen who 8 months after charge for assault causing actual body harm, they had them running around interdicted, running around. I believe eventually one or both were reinstated, but that is what we talk about. But the point we are making, that in this Vidnuk case, the man was charged with attempt murder, nothing discharged. Pointed the gun, he said, hey, police got dead, squeeze the trigger 3 or 4 times, nothing can happen. That is one case. I'm gonna let Kisila go through this next one, then I'm gonna bring you in. Similar case. This is May 28, 2018. Marianne Davy, 25, who was charged with attempting murder of a police officer and further remanded, was on Friday last, that is May 25, granted bail in the sum of $750,000 when she appealed her case for bail at the Demerara High Court. Davy was further remanded to prison when she appeared at the Georgia Magistrate Court on the 23rd of May 2018. On the 13th of May 2018, Davy was allegedly firing shots in the air while partying at the racing club when she was approached by Christopher Kisoon, an off-duty police officer, who commanded her to stop. However, according to the prosecution, the irritated woman took the said pistol and pointed it at the officer's head and pulled the trigger. The rank's life was spared after the gun jammed and failed to discharge. It was also revealed that Davy's firearm license had expired. Right? She was charged. She ended up getting charged for attempt murder. Similar circumstances to the one across the river, attempt murder. Again, I say, how come the Agricola man in charge with attempt murder? How come? How come? Let me bring in Mr. Conway. I have a lot more to tell you on this matter. I'm watching the time. A lot more to tell you on this same matter at the racing club in Thomas Land there, where this woman put a gun to a policeman's head and squeezed the trigger. Lucky, time didn't reach. Gun did not fire, the gun jammed. She was charged with attempt murder. The man across the river put pine gun on the police, he squeezed the trigger. 3 or 4 times. Gun snap, lucky, time and reach, charged with attempt murder. This man ran down the road with the AR-15 and lick shot at someone, and the charge with discharging loaded firearm with intent. Bring in CC, man. CC, some things are difficult to explain, but you're going to make a try, man.
Okay. All right. Just a quick one, I understand the discussion that you and Danny had at the breakdown there was very spirited, very spirited. Anyway, I know about both matters, at Vredenhoop and I think was Everest or one of them sports club there.
Not Everest, the one up, not Everest, the one up by National Park, yeah.
Yeah, the thing, yeah. And let me go with one across West Demerara. I was commando West Demerara. I know all those guys well, all of them. And I remember we had some gunplay at the Stelling, used to have sports, and I banned them. No sport on the Stelling. And then after I got transferred from West Dem, somebody uplifted the ban. And I think the very first sport they had there, then is when Alexei nearly lost his life. And we look at the individual, because I know the individual well. I know his father well. His father is a very popular guy. And he's still very popular And here it is. A man pull the trigger, and he was charged. Matters dismissed. I remember Alexi was subsequently promoted. After he was interdicted, he was promoted. I don't know if Jackie Opel came into play, but Alexi was promoted the same time with the triple jumper. Both of them moved from corporal to inspector. But apparently like Alexi jumped on his stick. I ain't hearing anything, but I know he's still in the work or rank he's carrying out. But clear case, attempt murder as compared with the one at Agricola. And then I remember the other one with that lady who pulled the trigger where the man's life was saved because of the jam, and quite rightly charged with attempt murder. But some people give some conflicting evidence, including Errol Watts. Very, very conflicting evidence in the matter. And they think the case went down the drain. There again they say Jackie Opel come into play. They wanted this West Demerara. Popular people, money people get involved. And this one at the sports club there, popular people, money people get involved. But the point we're making is that this one at Agricola, at least he should have been charged with attempt murder and public terror, creating public terror. But no, Jackie Opel, Paul, Jackie Opel all the time.
Yeah, Jackie Opel visited. But let me give you some more details because before you're going to ask me again, what was the outcome of this second case where this female put the gun at the police head and squeezed the trigger and the thing jammed. She got off from the attempt murder. She was also charged with unlawful possession of firearm and ammunition. Well, I believe that one was on 10 years ground because she was a licensed firearm owner. But at the time when this incident occurred, she had not renewed the license. So it's not that she was unlicensed in the sense that she never got a license to own and use the firearm. She was licensed to carry the firearm. But when the incident occurred, right, the license had not been renewed. But as Mr. Conway said, conflicting evidence. People going to carry remember, convenient amnesia stepped in when the trial started. You know, and in this same matter, a policeman, John Older, get jailed for perverting the course of justice. But look, I tell y'all, when you're geriatric, like me and CC, and you get certain training, you get certain time, you can do the research. Here, what Stabrook News, July the 28th, 2020, reported. John Older, the police constable charged with attempting to pervert the course of justice in the attempted murder charge involving Marian Davy, was found guilty and sentenced to 3 months behind bars. Older of North Road Border was found guilty of the charge on July the 20th. The sentence was handed down by the then principal magistrate. The charge against Older stated that between August the 10th, 2028 and October the 2nd, 2028, Georgetown, he attempted to pervert the course of justice by deviating from his statement in the case of the police versus Marian Davy. Davy was charged in 2018 with the attempted murder of Constable 24785 Christopher Kissoon, but the matter was dismissed in 2019 after the police failed to prove their case. She was also charged with possession of firearms while not being the owner of a firearm license. That matter was also dismissed. With Ola being the key witness against Daly, he had given the police his official statement, but during the preliminary inquiry into the charge, he told the court that he had falsified his information, a request allegedly made by a superior officer, and which would be used to prove Davy's guilt. Ola told the court that after submitting his original statement, the officer allegedly told him to change it so that he would coincide with the statement of Kissoon. His evidence was reluctantly disregarded. His evidence was resultantly disregarded, and he was subsequently charged with perverting the course of justice. That is a police and sentence. That is a constable and sentenced to 3 months in prison. But in the same matter, as Mr. Conway said just now, Errol Watts, who is now a Deputy Commissioner Operations, he also gave conflicting evidence. And here, this is Kaicho News of October the 9th, 2019. A witness who is Superintendent of Police Errol Watts and the attorney for the defendant yesterday clashed during his testimony in relation to the trial of Marianne Davy, who was accused of being in possession of an unlicensed firearm and ammunition. Watts was blazed during the cross-examination in relation to his testimony. The 26-year-old defendant of 127 Degar Park, Houston, Georgetown, had pleaded not guilty to the two charges which stated that she had an unlicensed pistol and 6 rounds, with 6 live rounds on May 13, 2029 at Albert Street, Thomas Land, Georgetown, while she was not the holder of a firearm license enforced at the time. Our case is being conducted in the Georgetown Magistrate Court, and then it says here, yesterday, listen to this carefully. Yesterday, Senior Superintendent of Police Errol Watts was called to testify as to the role he played in the investigation. However, during his testimony, a heated exchange took place between the lawyer and Watts. This was during cross-examination when the lawyer pointed out several discrepancies in his testimony. The lawyer put to Watts that most of what he said in the witness box was not in his written statement, to which he admitted he agreed. The witness seems upset when forced to agree that on 2 occasions he gave different details to the court against what is in his statement as it relates to the registration number of the vehicle and the serial number of the alleged firearm from Davy. The witness further stated, that is Watts further stated in the box on the cross-examination on the oath, quote, "I have a lot of work to do in protecting the citizens, even you. I am not a robot." That was his response when the lawyer catchy and because based on what was reported in another media, he gave in outlining the serial number of the firearm, digits were left out. And when the lawyer Brackley and put Lashpani, there was an outburst when he tell the lawyer, quoting again, I have a lot of work to do protecting the citizens, even you. I am not a robot. That was the abort. That is what is excuse for giving conflicting evidence in the witness. First of all, the statement, when he started to give evidence, a lot of the things that this is what is being reported, what he was saying in the witness box, those things were not in the statement. Because you know, and if you don't know, let me tell you, that this is a matter where they would have had full disclosure. So all the statements of witnesses that to be used in the trial were given to the lawyer. So the lawyer knew exactly what was written in the statement. But here you have a senior officer in the witness box giving additional evidence other than what was in the statement. And when the lawyer called him out, get him to admit on 2 occasions that he was saying things that were not contained in the statement, there was this outburst. He was a senior superintendent then, promoted to assistant commissioner. Now he's deputy commissioner. What they could tell people, yeah? What they could tell people. What example can they set? What example can they really set? How can people look up and respect them? But that's the type of behavior that is being rewarded. He is not the only one who get all sorts of skeletons and getting promoted. Whereas some people who, because they don't align with certain things, they are being overlooked. They are being bypassed a promotion. But I am going to continue to let y'all know who these people are. Them is the ones who want to come after me. Them that want to come after me. With all, they ain't got skeletons in the closet. They got a whole graveyard. Not no skeletons. Right? Because if you charge the constable, listen carefully, the constable, John Older, was charged for perverting the course of justice because he gave conflicting evidence, sentenced to 3 months in prison. Now, if this senior officer go in the witness box and giving conflicting evidence. Even if you're charged criminally, should he not have been disciplined? Especially given the outburst? Should he not have been disciplined given the outburst? But now he's rewarded, promoted. And the point is made that when you look at these people, West Demerara, the Ali person, the Ali character, and when you look at this one here, Marian Davy, in case you all know who Marian Davy was or is, her father died, was alleged to be involved in drug. The Davy, who was recently sanctioned by the US, along with the senior superintendent, is our brother. Money people. Don't ask me how the money come. Money people. So when money people are charged and policemen go in the box and give them type of evidence which leads to the dismissal of the charge, one after your question, you're within your right to question whether Jackie Opel came. Because I know. And any policeman know. Any policeman worth his salt. You got to go and give evidence in a box. Things like serial number and other thing, they got to get it down pat. Serial number of a firearm. If a person is charged with a lawful possession of a firearm, you going to go and left out digits and say that because you're busy protecting people, that's why you forget and you're not a robot. People will be led to believe. I believe that Jackie Opel visited. And a lot of people will be in the right to say that too. How come when this money people get charged, you all forget something conveniently? Or when a little man do something, nobody don't forget. There's got to rattle out all the evidence and all the number. The number could be the number could get all the letters in the alphabet and all the digits from 0 to 9, and they just remember in the correct order and everything. But suddenly when somebody with money, the money people do something, y'all don't remember, you can't recall, you don't remember. Remember Jackie Opel come though? Remember Jackie Opel come? Come on, let me say this. We say this to emphasize the fact that the Guyana police force is in deep doo-doo. Deep doo-doo. Whether they want to admit it or not, we know that they are in deep doo-doo. And I have said repeatedly, reform is the only way. And I continue to say that the force cannot be reformed with certain people you have in government and in the police force. You can't reform them. Can't reform with them thing where you get it wrong. I told Gail to share that way back in 2005 or sometime then. That if the force is to be reformed, certain characters got to go. And the same thing holds up to now. They got to go. Or you're going to reform with people who they're wrong there. You hear they're involved in drug smuggling and neglect, whether it's criminal neglect or not. I'm talking now about the Adriana Young case, whether it's criminal neglect, whether it's conspiracy, whether it's complicity. How are you going to reform with them people around? How are you going to do that? You got a man who, they're right at the top. They think people just forget, But the good thing about research and the good thing about a thing called social media, those things are there. Those things remain there. And anyone who wants to do little research, if you're research oriented like I am, you're going to unearth all them things. They just believe everything gone and they forget. They're pumping scene, walking with the chest in the air, and they're full of nonsense, right? They get all sort of skeleton, all sort of zombie with them and so on. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. CC, what say you about Jackie Opel and all these people might have visited?
Well, a constable could get charged for perverting the course of justice. But a senior officer who gave conflicting evidence, only conflicting evidence in favor of the defendant or the accused, can't remember the vehicle number, can't remember the gun number, and the gun is a bone of contention, vehicle is a bone of contention, and they just slide away like that. Jackie Opel, and I said in the last episode, when I was Commander Borbis, the police ballistic expert went and give evidence in a murder matter where a gun was used, a shotgun was used, and he can't remember the shotgun. No, I can't remember. He called in the number and he dropped in two letters there. He dropping it. He ain't saying it. And he had all the documents in front of him. I always remember that. And with this person, this case that we mentioned with Debbie and them, nobody didn't tell me that Jackie Opel come into play. That Jackie Opel in come into play. Conflicting evidence. And the conflicting evidence is in favor of the defendant. We will go into it, but he had another senior man too who play conflicting role too. Another senior man, he no longer in the work, and that was it, Ball.
Yeah. I shouldn't say they were even discharged AR at John 18 rounds and miss. What you say there? If I discharge my AR at John 18, well, I guess 18 times and miss, he did not commit murder. Why can't I say, what? Why can't I say I did not commit murder? Because it was never my. Look, let me tell you, I know I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say. But if you discharge someone, a firearm, 80 rounds at someone, it's not whether you miss or not. It is because it is clear that your intention was to kill him. That is what is going to be inferred. You can't discharge an AR-15 or any firearm at someone, 18 rounds at that person, and so it's joke you're making. It's joke. It's joke. It's war break. It's war break. It's real war break. It's real war break. It matters not if you miss him. Your intention. Any reasonable person, any reasonable adjudicator will come to the only conclusion that you intended to kill that person. So it's not murder, it's attempt murder. That was your intention to kill. You did not get you, but the intention was there. So we understand this thing clearly, my brother. Right? Let me understand it clearly. Your intention was to kill. There's no way you can discharge all them wrongs at a man. Well, you don't get the skill, so you miss. Right? And then you want to say, well, I did not intend to kill him. Who can believe that? Who will believe that? The intent was to kill. The intent was to kill. Right? Now, let me move on. We have not dealt in any great detail with the Adriana Young matter over a couple of episodes. And with the little time permitting, I want to go with that, perhaps something else. To update on that matter. By now, we all know that a second autopsy was done in the United States on Adriana Young. The doctor there, Dr. Terry, I think is the name, said that she cannot pronounce on the cause of death. She asked a lot of questions. Because she said that based on what she saw, you can't definitively conclude that the cause of death was drowning. She said the diagnosis of drowning is a diagnosis of exclusion. In other words, you have to exclude everything else before you come to drowning. Right? All right. The latest I understand is that one, the funeral is likely to take place on the 22nd of this month. Right? The details have not been made known, but I think the parents said 22nd because the body was flown back sometime last week, I think it was, and the body is now in Guyana. Funeral on the 22nd. I understand from a little that I picked up yesterday, last night, or this morning, that at the second autopsy, the pathologist asked a whole set of questions. According to the attorney at law, Dexter Todd, representing the interests of the family, the pathologist asked over 100 questions. And of course, those questions, I wasn't shocked. But I read somewhere this morning that Dr. Todd had written to the police commissioner asking questions and asking for a copy of the original post-mortem report. I think that was made available and around the 27th or something like that. That was made available 27th of last month to the police. Based on what I've read, the police or the commissioner has responded to Dr. Todd, telling me basically you gotta go to court to get a copy of the post-mortem report. It is being revealed, let me repeat that Dr. Todd wrote to the Commissioner of Police, Clifton Ikin, the squatter, asking or requesting a copy of the final preliminary post-mortem report conducted by those three pathologists. And he has responded Well, I'm surprised that he respond, that he can respond. But he can respond it to that. That is what is being reported and say, the guy got the court. In other words, I ain't giving you nothing, give me the court if you want. That is the response. And I'm saying this. If there's nothing to hide, you had a preliminary report, which only the president and somebody see, Frank Anthony and them. And then they jump on the night of the 28th, I think it was when the postmortem was done, and they tell you all sort of thing. No forcible drowning and all sort of thing they tell you. No trauma, they tell you all kind of thing. Now that now that they have the final PM report, and the lawyer representing the interests of the family has made an official request for a copy on behalf of the family. The police tell you got to court, they are giving you nothing. If you want to go to court, let court order we, and only then we get. Why? These are the same people who talking about transparency. These are the same people who telling you they have nothing to hide. Same people. But they are not going to provide a copy of the postmortem report unless a court so orders. And you know what is up with these things? When the court order, they're going to appeal and all sort of thing. That's what goes on. And they're talking about transparency. I am saying there is even more evidence to suggest that they're trying to hide something. Something is there that don't want to be revealed. Why else would you deny the attorney representing the family a copy of the postmortem report? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It is a question for them to answer. But no, you want it, got a code, carry it to court if you want it. And then the next thing, I learned sometime over a week ago, because we had asked the question, what is the position with the owner who they had said was on bail and was required to report to the police station at a specified time? I think it was every day or something like that. What happened to that? Is he still reporting? Is he still on bail? Is he still on bail? But as I said before, I am of the view, based on what they say, they've done the account today, as far as they're concerned, the investigation done. They do a thing there, and they pay a Canadian man, for come and endorse the report, and as far as they're concerned, it's done. The investigation is over, notwithstanding the fact that the second autopsy recommended that a thorough criminal investigation be conducted, because there are a lot of questions to be answered. No, they're done with that. They're done with that. They're going to send the file to the DPP, and then the DPP going to say inquest. Well, let me address inquest briefly, because I did so before, because a lot of people say, well, inquest. Yeah, but an inquest cannot replace or should not replace that initial thorough criminal investigation, which is still not being completed. A thorough criminal investigation. And when you do a thorough criminal investigation and you can't determine that you, the police, and you no evidence really to point to any person as the perpetrator, then it goes to the coroner for an inquest to be conducted. Peter Headley, remember Peter Headley got shot and killed some time ago on the East Bank where some policemen stopped him, and he was made to sit in. They were taking his car. He sat in the front seat, policeman in the back. Someone they said the gun in the back go off, Peter Headley dead. Right? Big uproar. We learned that an inquest was ordered in Peter Headley's killing. Up to now. I don't know when last they had an inquest in Guyana. So they're going to say inquest. They're going to say inquest, but I maintain that the inquest cannot replace a thorough initial criminal investigation. Because that is what they angle and say, let me hold the inquest. And then they're going to tell you, oh, well, the DPP has ordered an inquest, so there's nothing more we can do, nothing more that we can say until such time that the inquest is over. Rubbish. And then I looked into the crystal ball. I know the crystal ball, but now the old students know that the crystal ball don't fool me often. I think once I was off and so on. The crystal ball is telling me, because it says that this double day owner was seen with police going around the area. looking for items allegedly stolen from the property during the melee there. With police, he going around with police, going into people's home without any warrant to say they're searching for things, right? For chair and for whatever else they're searching for. Lawlessness. Lawlessness. And then one of the things that shocked me, guy, that can never be a real place. The fire service over the past couple of days came out with a report to say that based on their investigation, the fire to Doubleday Hotel and the owner's property was deliberately set. Doubleday, the fire service, hey, we come. I think that's the name of the fire chief acting or whatever. You got to come and tell people that the fire was maliciously set. We all saw that. But in terms of the hotel, who set the fire to the hotel? Don't tell me it's the protesters, because the evidence is there that the protesters did not set the fire to the hotel. Because we all saw that someone who is alleged to be a policeman, Smith, was closest to where the smoke started to emanate. He was closest, and he casually walked down on his phone, smoke coming out the building, policeman down there, he never raised no alarm, nothing at all. Right? Casually walking down the stairs, and then the place was engulfed in flame. So don't tell me that the fire was maliciously set, because we know it wasn't an electrical fire. We know it's not no gas stove flare up. And then given the sequence of events, we know that the owner's home and those other places were set by people. Maybe you can make a case that those fires were set by protesters, but don't tell me the Doubleday Hotel fire was set by protesters. Don't tell us that, right? So you come to tell me after almost 2 months that the fire was maliciously set? We know that. We know that. There is no news, right? There is no news. And the next thing I was telling you about the crystal bar, you know what the crystal bar telling me? That when Al-Qaeda don't clean up this place and all them everything already, you know. And that reminds me of Brickdown Police Station. When Brickdown Police Station, the compound was destroyed by fire the Saturday. The Sunday morning, that heavy-duty vehicle machinery in there removing the debris. And even as the debris was being removed, the president is saying they're going to call for international help to determine the cause of the fire. These people, these people are easy, you know. These people are not easy. They are not easy. Then my crystal ball telling me that very soon they were there, once they close the investigation proper, which they're gonna do, they're gonna say inquest and all of that. They're gonna hear a lawsuit filed against the government in relation to the destruction of the property. And they're gonna use all sort of evidence, the fact that the police stood there and did nothing. Right? And you're gonna hear, listen out. You're gonna listen out. That is what they're gonna do. They're gonna hear a big lawsuit, a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit for the damage to the property and all of that against the government. You're gonna name the police as part of the thing too. And say they stood there, they did not do anything, and then we're gonna see where that will go. Now, you think it's easy? All they want, let me before I bring in C7, tell you, all the police and the government and all these supporters want is for this body to be buried on the 22nd, as they say, and then to them it's business as usual. Have you seen the comments made by certain people on the social media in respect to the case? When you look at the comment made by certain people with a certain kind of name, you want to know where the humanity is. You can't be human to all them things. All of a sudden now, is the family are trying to exploit this situation. They're collecting money. They're doing this. All of a sudden, and let me understand this clearly, had it not been for the vigilance of the father, we would have got a different outcome. So just like the outcome on the shooting at the East Coast, this I'm sure I got time for going into that in any great detail. That would happen. Orlando, you are lucky like the man who walked out the plane in India. Lucky. You're lucky that the father, Sir Brian Young, stood his ground outside that hotel and was determined not to move because he was convinced that his daughter was in there. Determined not to move because had he moved, had they fall for the subterfuge and the ruse by Mandel, that body would not have been found in the pool. I am saying that. The body would have been found elsewhere. And poor Orlando would perhaps have been facing a murder charge or some other charge in relation to that body. But you know, God don't sleep. God don't sleep. I said, karma no get no date. And all the wickedness that they did and are doing, karma waiting them. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. CC, what say you about this Adriana Young matter?
Like you, Paul, I know that as far as the police concerned, this matter is open and closed. They're waiting for the burial, and then they're going to submit a report recommended an inquest. But we got to hold out that there must be a proper, comprehensive investigation to be done. It must be done. They're going to bank on that quack that they brought in from Canada, a retired sergeant who was inactive for a long time, and he sit down maybe in someone of them will tell the say review 400 pages, and the police did excellent work. He praised the police, although the police didn't lock down the scene, although the police didn't make sure that there's preserved evidence, although the police didn't say hey, how the one cop they in get his clothes wet to the knee. How the police say the girl gone elsewhere, which is a lie, and up to now they can't produce anything there. And up to landlord saying, and I'm going to repeat what he said on television when they talking about this man that they brought in from Canada. He said the original component of the original police force here in the Caribbean, I think recommended the gentleman. He thinking the original component of the original police force, I know where, sir. Here in the Caribbean, I think recommended the gentleman. And he stopped there. The government does not know the person. His words, the government doesn't know the person. He was recommended by the Caribbean himself. What is the Caribbean himself? And here this last one. I think he may have done some work in the region before. Ourselves covering up and covering up. They get the president go and talk. You know what they feed him? A lot of lie. Frank Anthony, all of them. Where is a real case of political interference in the operations of the Ghana police force. Not a word from the commissioner. The crime chief numb. There's need for a proper investigation. It's got to be meticulous and it's got to be time consuming. But as far as the police is concerned, it done there. They're going to put up a report and say recommend inquest. And perhaps the politically controlled DPP going to say inquest also. Well, the inquest too, the coroner can say if anybody is criminally responsible for the death or if there are any other criminal offenses committed. But then again, the recommendation got to go back to the DPP. So it might be back and forth in anything. So this whole thing is Paul is cover up and cover up and cover up. That's what they're doing. It stinks to high heaven.
Yeah, and a comment here from my good friend Selvin. He said the coroner, in his experience, can conduct his or our own investigation. Selvin is saying here that the coroner, in his experience, can conduct his or our own investigation. I am not doubting that, Selvin. But let me localize this thing. Inquests are not frequently held in Guyana. Once you hear a matter put for inquest, there have been so many fatal accidents and other issues. Inquest ordered. Now inquest is being held. I reference the Edley matter, Peter Edley matter. I think that must be about 2 years and counting. No inquest, right? So inquest is really a dead end. And that is why we say if we really want to talk about justice, let me bring in some credible organization to investigate. Let's bring in the organization to investigate, because let's look at what is going on. Let me look inquest in Guyana. Inquest is held by the coroner. The coroner got to get support. Who can support the coroner? The same police that covering up this matter? Let me be realistic. Let me be realistic. And that is why we are saying, I will continue to say, that if you really want to get to the bottom of what transpired, let's get a credible organization to conduct the investigation. Because I too say that when you hold an inquest, the inquest will determine whether someone was criminally responsible for the death of the individual. But this case is beyond the death of the individual. We get more than the death of the individual. We have the action or lack of action on the part of the police. Was it just negligence? Was it just incompetence? Was it collusion? Was it complicity? Right? All of these things should be investigated. How come Mandel, the commander, misled the family, or at least he attempted to mislead the family and the public by saying that this girl was seen going into some car in some direction? All of those things need to be investigated. So this is not only about the investigation to determine the cause of death and who may have been responsible for the death. It's a lot of other things have to be investigated. Do we not want to know, to investigate the police response on April the 28th when they shoot up wild all over the place? Do we not want to know that too? Who gave the orders for them to go there and shoot up? Do we not want to know whether the private security, as we saw there the night on the 28th, has the authority to come out in a situation like that and just shooting up all over the place? All of those things should be inquired into. All of those things should be inquired into, students. So this is not only, while we are all focusing quite understandably on the death of Adriana Young and who may have been responsible for the death, the murder, I would say, because I maintain, given the circumstantial evidence, right, she did not die in the pool. And if she did not die in the pool and her body was subsequently recovered in the pool, that is circumstantial evidence to me that she was murdered elsewhere and placed in the pool. That is what I am saying. And I dare anyone to contradict that. You got to get direct evidence. Do you not want to know too, if we are talking about what transpired, do we not want to know how you're going to have a big hotel in the Guyana context? There's a big hotel, fancy hotel, where when an incident like this occurred, none of the cameras working? You don't want to know that? Do we not want to know that? Do we not want to know about the fires and all of these type of things? But look, as I've said, yeah, they can try to duck under the umbrella of inquest, but this investigation requires a broader scope. Broader scope. I want to know why too, if I'm to conduct, or if anyone to conduct a proper investigation, I want to know, what about the silence of the Commissioner of Police in such a matter? Why is the Commissioner of Police silent? Do you not want to know that? Is it because he's incompetent, which I suspect it is? But the public needs to know all of these things. So we're not going to leave this undone, We're not going to leave it undone. And let me bring in Mr. Conway for his closing, because I just kept myself and realized we 2 hours almost finished. Let me bring in CC for his closing, and then we're going to wind up today. CC, we have said a lot this morning. Let me hear your closing remarks, my brother.
Okay, and I've been reading up my volume, my thing where my book, Management of Death Investigation. And it's a simple one, because it's saying that they saw no marks of violence on the body of Adriana. And here what it's saying. After pressure is applied to the neck, unconsciousness supervenes in a matter of seconds. The heart may continue to beat for 15 to 20 seconds. Go for. After pressure is applied to the neck, Unconsciousness supervenes in a matter of seconds. The heart may continue to beat for 15 to 20 seconds. And for that, a lack of oxygen or excess carbon dioxide in the body is usually caused by the interruption of breathing and causes unconsciousness and death. So you don't have people saying they gotta get marks of violence and all. You ain't gotta get marks of violence. Pressure to the neck, unconsciousness stepping in seconds, the lack of oxygen or excess carbon dioxide in the body will cause interruption of breathing and unconsciousness and death. And then in closing, I still have the complaints from the ranks in region number 8 that the Monkey Mountain, Kato, Parmatakai, Orangeuk, they haven't seen their commander or the two ICU have been there for months and months and months and months. They haven't seen them yet face to face. They have serious issues they want to discuss, and they're not seeing their commander. They say the command is seen publicly more in region number 3 than region number 8. They said they lock away. He and the two IC lock away in hotels at Majo. And they're not visiting, they're not inspecting. They said they ain't want to salute Jerry Govayo. And they don't want to salute Jerry Govayo, bridesmaid, deputy superintendent, deputy commissioner Watts. He's Jerry Govayo, bridesmaid. And I hear like he gets some army man with it too. So I'm appealing, please, Commando and 2IC Region number 8, go and visit your stations, Orangeuk, Monkey Mountain, Kato, and check and see how the construction coming up with the outposts that they said they're building at Paramatica. You don't get them police in, police not in the work, police left in the work, and you open more outposts and all kind of thing there. So please, Commander Stanley, Deputy Commander Davison, go to Orangeuk, go to Kato, go to Monkey Mountain, go to Paramalakai, go and visit and you see what's going on.
Yeah, thank you, my brother. Thank you. Let me answer a question raised by a student. You know, when you see if the student raise a finger, you should really respond. One student is saying that if you have a driver's license and you stop and they discover the license has expired, then you're an unlicensed driver. Yeah, that may be so. But the court treats it differently as against you never having a driver's license. It's not a case where you never had, but it is expired. So while the section, I guess, is the same, you're charged for being an unlicensed driver because the license has expired. When you go to court and that explanation is given to the magistrate, it will be treated differently as against you never having a driver's license. So let me understand this thing clearly. Just like a firearm, you have a firearm and you fail to renew for whatever reason, you're found with it unlicensed because the license has expired. That doesn't mean that you never had a license for the same firearm. And therefore, any sensible court will treat it differently. So let me understand this clearly. You're going to treat it differently. Now, I got a few questions I want to ask before we move on, before we tell you what comes up next. The first I want to ask, is the doctor still in the police force, this fake doctor? Remember the man who faked his way to doctor, fake his university, say get university degree, never went there. And we learned a few weeks ago, the man is now a police. The man graduated from the college or whatever they call him now, the academy. The man graduated. Is he still a constable? Because with a man with this type of skills like that, for all you know, the man now, after a couple of weeks, maybe the man's a sergeant. He going around the place wearing three stripe. Who knows? Because the man is definitely a con man. And if he can this way to give medic as a doctor with stethoscope and all them, he do all of that. And he was giving help at some clinic there as a doctor. Well, I know he can't even into the police force, but the man is now a police. That's what we were told at the time. No, if he still is a police. So, for I know the man is a sergeant already. Turn up there, buck up some constables and corporal, a new sergeant. They want to know who he be. And I mean, that would not, well, it's the first time somebody like that will, as far as I know, will join the force. But I know you had some wicked men back in the day at the TSC where I started my career. Some wicked men at TSU, when they go out to town on duty, they might say, get stripe, they put on stripe, get free rum and free food. You had one particular man, a red skin man, I can't call his name. Man was known to do that. He had the eye color, and therefore people believe when he says he's an officer, people believe he was the officer, right? So they get him convent around. But is this man still in the police force? Is he still in the police force? I don't know. So maybe somebody can tell me if he's still about. Folks, we have had a long morning. There are some issues that we have not been able to go into. They get two in particular that we putting off, right? One of them has to do with domestic violence. That is an issue that has been very prominent in the news. We are promising, well, we shouldn't promise because I don't know what is going to happen between now and the next program, but we will try to highlight certain things in that particular issue. Domestic violence, a scourge in Guyana. Now only you hear the other day we heard allegation that a senior officer shoot at his one because he was the issue the next man, right? Domestic violence. High-tech domestic violence. So the president made a statement recently about some high-tech method to deal. We're going to talk about high-tech domestic violence very soon, right? Then we have other issues. I mean, we were to talk about the use of not less than lethal weapons and all that, but time keep running out on us because these issues come in, and when we try to prioritize because we feel some things we can't leave back. This Adriana Young thing, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it, right? Because they want us to stop. They want her to be buried, and when they bury everything with her. No, we're not going to allow that to happen. We are not going to allow that to happen. And all the vile comment by some of their supporters, we have got to call these people out. All the racist and vile comments we see in there. Folks, we have had a long morning, first working day for the week. You see the Cash App, the Zelle, and the MMG number. Thanks to all those who have been making their contributions, and we try to encourage others to do likewise. I from the attendance alone, I know that you have had a very fulfilling morning, very educational, very informative. We will continue to bring this type of information, analyze these things to you. I know the attempt murder matter gained a lot of comments. Thank you for your participation and your interaction. Sometimes you make a comment, I don't respond to it because really I don't look at the comments during the program because it can be distracting. Sometimes if I get a break, I will do so. But then if there's no break, I don't do that. But at the end of the program, I try to run the comments and make notes so that we come again next time. If there's anything to respond to, I can respond to it. So folks, we've had a long morning. Thank you very much for your attendance. God's willing, we plan to come again on Wednesday for the midweek episode. That is the day after tomorrow. Until then, again, we want to urge you to stay well, stay focused, stay safe. People drowned in, fatal accident, they're claiming outbreak of COVID. We had dengue, rain falling, place flooding. It's all kind of thing, man. Only divine intervention to help Guyana. That is my belief. Only divine intervention. So until we meet again on Wednesday, God's willing, stay well, be safe. Bye.